Hello students, I hope you are all fine and in good health. In this audio presentation, I will provide some important information to you all regarding the poem Childhood. Yesterday, I had also uploaded an audio that is related with the stanza-wise explanation of the poem. So, in this particular audio presentation, I will provide some important information related with the same poem, Childhood, that was written by Marcus Natten. So, as you can see at the top, I have written Childhood. Now, Childhood introduction to the poem. Now, Childhood is written by Marcus Natten. In this poem, the poet thinks over his lost childhood. He is regretful that he has lost his childhood. He is very much obsessed, or rather to say, primarily obsessed with his own childhood. Because this phase, it went by, it won't come back to him again. He wonders about the moment where he lost the innocence and realized that the world is not what he seemed it to be. Now, when he was a child, the entire world was full of innocence. But as he grew up, he realized that the world is not what it seemed to be. It is not a fairy tale world. It's a world full of dark experience. Now, when this realization came in his mind, he probably had lost his childhood by that time. He recalls, dear students, means recollects. He recalls when his thoughts changed and he realized the hypocrisy of the people around him. Now, as he grew up, as he attained maturity, his thought process had changed, and then he realized the actual or genuine nature of the people or the hypocritical nature of the people around him. He finally settled down to the idea that his childhood went to some forgotten place and is hidden in the face of an infant child. Now, finally, he came to the conclusion, and also he derived a bit of consolation in his mind on his own, that his childhood perhaps went to some forgotten place, oblivion, or a place of forgetfulness, and it is concealed or hidden in the face of an innocent child. And the childhood, it is hidden, his childhood, he can track his childhood, or he can get a few glimpses of his childhood that is hidden in the face of an innocent child. Now, let me move on to the summary of this poem. In the poem, the poet wonders when he lost his childhood and the innocence he had. Now, he made a lot of guesswork because he went on wondering. Throughout the poem, we get to know about it because it was very difficult for him to come to a unanimous conclusion, or a fixed or a universal or a definite conclusion. He made a lot of assumptions related with his long lost childhood and the innocence that he had. He became conscious that he no longer sees the world as he did earlier, and he can sense the hypocrisy in people. Now, the world had changed. When he was a young kid, at that time, his thought process were not developed to that extent. He considered the world to be a very beautiful place, but as he developed maturity, as he grew up, he realized that the world is full of mean minded and hypocritical human beings. He realized the true nature of the adult world. And the important thing is that he had trust in the adult world, but ultimately that trust was broken at a certain phase of his life when he attained maturity, when he realized that things are totally different from what he presumed them to be in reality. Now, let me continue. He became conscious means he became aware that he no longer sees the world as he did earlier, and he can sense the hypocrisy in people. Now, he can realize, he can sense the hypocrisy in people. He recalled many instances. He recalled means he recollected many instances in his life when he could have lost his childhood, but not a single one he could definitely be sure of it. He recalled many such instances. he wondered if it was the day he ceased to be 11, when he was no longer 11 years old. Probably at that stage of his life, who knows, he had lost his childhood, or he realized that hell and heaven didn't exist in this world and no one could find them in the geography. Apart from that, when he received education, and education means enlightenment, so when he received education, when he received knowledge in geography, he haven't found the places like hell or heaven. He haven't found any such place like that, because practically speaking, these places are imaginary concepts. They don't have any reality. They haven't exist in reality. So when this realization came regarding hell and heaven, that they don't exist in any geography books, they don't exist in reality, perhaps at that moment only, or at that juncture only, he had lost his childhood. Next, he talks about the possibility when he realized that the adults are not what they seemed to be. Now, the adults are actually different from what he presumed them to be earlier. Now, the trust was broken. Previously, he thought the adults to be generous, kind-hearted, because the adults, it is written that they talk of love, they preach of love, but they act differently. Now the important thing is that the adults, they used to give lectures every time on being good, generous, kind-hearted, to always propagate harmony and peace, but in reality they act in a very different manner. Now the adults, they are violent, and they are hypocrites, they are mean-minded people, and it seems that they don't act in the same way as they preach. So it seems that their actions and their whatever they say and whatever they preach and whatever they execute, they are totally different. Now when this realization came in his mind that the adults are actually mean-minded and hypocrites, maybe at that time he had lost his childhood. They talk and preach of love, but their actions don't say so. As I already told you, dear students, was it the day when he realized that his mind was his own and capable of producing his own thoughts? Or maybe another assumption being made by the poet, that when he can control his own mind. Previously, when he was a kid, he used to take decisions from others. But when he realized that he can actually think on his own independently, that what is right and what is wrong, what is good and what is bad, when he can produce his own creative thoughts, when there was a birth of rationality, individuality, and self identity in him, probably at that stage of his life, he had lost his childhood. No one could own that, and he is an individual with his particular personality. Now the important thing is that my mind is my own and I can use it in whichever way I choose. Very important line from the text. Now he can utilize his thoughts, he can use his mind in whichever way he chooses. Now he has his own individual personality. So when this particular realization came to his mind, probably at that stage of his life he had lost his childhood. Now in the last stanza, there is a certain change. He talks about the whereabouts of his childhood, location or whereabouts, and finally he concludes that it had gone to some forbidden or forgotten place, and it can only be found in the innocent face of a child. Obviously it can be tracked or it can be found in the innocent face of a child. Only a few glimpses of his own long lost childhood he can find in the face of an infant child. So that is that is some of the information that is related with this poem Childhood. Dear students, kindly go through this audio presentation. It will clear up your concept regarding this poem. Thank you, students. Thank you all.